Okay, folks, lecture number 14. If we were face-to-face, this is the way you would be seeing me right now. Last time we were together, we talked about a lot of things, and as you always know, we always talk about a lot of things. But we addressed the topic of Christianity. I mentioned to you about Arians who believed that Jesus was not equal to God. We also had another group. These were the Athanasians that believed the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are all equal with each other. We also talked about the Catholic Church, the origin of the Catholic Church, the hierarchy of the Catholic Church. Mentioned such individuals to you, such as St. Basil, St. Benedict with the Latin rule. You should recognize those individuals. We shifted our focus and went into the Goths. These were enemies of the Roman Empire. Went through the various types of Goths there, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Vandals, the Huns. Somewhere through here we switched back to religion. Mentioned to you about the person that developed the Vulgate. The Vulgate, this was a Catholic Bible. This was a Latin Bible. We also talked about St. Ambrose and the greatest of the Latin fathers, that of St. Augustine. And we were closing out the class periods with the Byzantines. And the Byzantines, I think I talked to you about with a remarkable weapon they had, which was called Greek fire. All right, so anyway, that was the last lecture that we had. We're going to move into an entirely different subject. We spent about a lecture and a half talking about Christianity, and we're going to spend at least a full lecture with Islam. And it may even take a little bit longer than that. So let me go to my camera here, and let's kind of give us an outline of what we're going to be talking about today. Islamic Civilization. Here we go. And let's see if I can get a little contrast to that where you can see it a little bit better. Islamic Civilization. Now, most of you probably are not very familiar with this whatsoever, but since we talked about the Hebrews, we talked about Christians, we're going to also address the topic here of the Muslims. Two words you can use here. Either word is acceptable here. We find very often in that part of the world, and trying to translate their words into English, we get different spellings, slightly different pronunciations too. So we have Muslims here, or some people pronounce it and spell it as Muslims and Muslims. All right, now the founder of Islam is that of Muhammad. It's just like we said, the founder of Christianity was Jesus and St. Paul and maybe Mary of Magdala. Now, I want you to know with Muhammad is not God. Muhammad is a messenger. Muhammad is the prophet. But Muhammad will be the person that creates this religion. And if we look at some facts here in Islam today, out of the world's population, which is roughly 7 billion people, we have approximately 1.86 billion Muslims. This makes up 25% of the world's population are followers of Islam, or followers of are Muslims. Now, I just happened to think about something here. I want you to get this clear in your mind that Islam is a religion. Muslim is not a religion. A person that adheres to Islam is a Muslim. All right, so work on that too. Now, for Islam is the third largest religion. Christianity is the second largest religion. And the largest religion in the world is zero religion. All right, and Islam is rapidly catching up with that of Christians here. It is a worldwide religion. It's a worldwide religion. I don't have a map of the world behind me. If we were in class, I would have a map right behind me, and I could show you the presence of Islam. Obviously, you're going to find it in the Mideast. If we move into the areas of the Russian Federation, you find Islam that is present there, particularly in the southern parts here. Moving on, we don't find much Islam in China. There's a little bit, but not too much. We move down into the area down near the Philippines and Indonesia. A large presence of Muslims would be there. Moving over into South America, I've not seen any presence of Islam in South America. I'm sure there's probably some. Growing numbers in the United States, particularly in the northern parts of the United States. I understand that there's a Islamic mosque that's present here in Jasper, Alabama, too. Moving over into Europe, there's a large Islamic presence that is in European countries, particularly that of England, France, Germany, Italy. So anyway, it's a worldwide religion. And some of the other things about Islam, it appears to be more closely, Muslims appear to be more closely united, closely linked than that of Christians. If we stop and we think about it, fortunately now in Ireland, we've got a peace that's established there between Protestants and Catholics. But often we'll find that Protestants and Catholics will get at the throats of each other too. And with Islam, you just really don't find that. You find that people that are very closely linked, just regardless of their race, regardless of their language, if they are Muslims, they are linked with each other. And we don't always see that with Christians. All right, let's go back to our camera here, and we'll pick up our discussion a little bit further. Now, if we take ourselves back to around the year 600, in the 7th century anyway, most people in the Mideast were Bedouins. Now, Bedouins are nomadic camel herders. When you visit that area today, you still find them in great numbers. They're by and large rather backward individuals. I'm certainly not implying, that all Muslims are backward, because they are not. So very intelligent individuals, far more than we in our Western life give them credit for. But you still see even today a lot of Bedouins, nomadic camel herders. A lot of camels are found in this area, and I'm talking about in Arabia, Saudi Arabia, down in Egypt, in the areas around Israel, Jordan, that sort of thing, that sort of place. All right, now, during the times we're talking about there, and I'm going to go back to my camera here, and what I've done here, I placed a map. Let me try to darken this. I put a map here of the area of Saudi Arabia. We'll try to, hopefully my microphone will pick up my speech here. In fact, I might be able to move this a little bit closer here. Now, where the Byzantines were located, the Byzantines were up in this area right through here. Now, their bitter enemies were the Persians, and that is in this area here. So back in the 600s, it was 500s, 600s, it was very, very treacherous to be present as an entrepreneur, as a trader, up in these areas right through here. Now, if we go a little bit further south, down in this area here, this would provide trading routes that were away from the dangers up in this area here. And if we look at a town here, and this is a town which is known as Mecca. I'm going to go back to my camera so you can see how to spell this. This was an important crossroads or intersection that was present down in Arabia. We refer to it as Mecca. You can see different spellings of this, Mecca, and even on my map behind me, it spells it both ways. It has this Mecca. I was told don't use my fingers anymore, so we have Mecca, and you'll find it even on the map there as Mecca, such as that. And within this town, there is a structure which is called the Kaaba. All right. Several different pronunciations, several different spellings of this. The word actually translates to mean the house of Allah. Allah, I'll tell you again in just a few minutes here, Allah is God. It's the same God as Yahweh. It's the same God as Christians worship anyway. But it is pronounced Kaaba. Kaaba. So draw out your A with that. Not Kaaba, it's Kaaba. And in the Kaaba, there is the black stone. And a black stone is a holy relic. It's a holy relic that Allah sent down from heaven and sent it down into where Saudi Arabia is today. Actually, what the black stone is, it is a meteorite. It's a meteorite. All right. Now, the guardians of the Kaaba are known as the Quraysh. The Quraysh are the wealthy entrepreneurs, the wealthy traders. All right, I'm going to interrupt myself just a second here and show you a photograph here that's showing you the Kaaba. This is the Kaaba. All right, now, if you notice here, thousands of people that are around this. I'm going to bring up a topic in just a minute here, which is called the Hajj, H-A-J-J. I'll mention to you in just a few minutes more in greater detail here. All right, I'm not getting a very good contrast, so let me try to darken this a little bit here. Now, where this is present, this is in Saudi Arabia. It's in Mecca, and it's in the area which is called the Great Mosque. All right, this is a great mosque that surrounds here, and within that, this is where we find the Kaaba. And if you look carefully here, and you have to look very, very carefully with this, I think you'll see it on your included video, by the way. This is where the black stone, where the meteorite is present. All right, it is right there. Notice we have guards on both sides of it right there that prevent people from going up and trying to touch the black stone. I don't want to give away all of my lecture right now, so we'll have to come back to this at a later time. Okay, so anyway, that's the creation guarding the Kaaba. All right, now Ahmad, and this is the name of an individual here. Ahmad was born roughly in the year 570, and that's 570 CE. He was orphaned at an early age. He was a member of the Quraysh and had a little bit of wealth, but he was not at the very top. And at the age of 25, Ahmad married a lady that was 15 years older than him. He's 25. And this lady's name, this female's name, was Khadijah. Khadijah. Sometimes you'll see it pronounced, or sometimes you'll see it spelled as Khadijah. All right, Khadijah. So this will be the wife, if you will, to Ahmad. And she was quite wealthy. So this meant that Ahmad now will move into the upper echelon, if you will, of the Quraysh groups. Okay, so let's move right along here. And in the year 610, Ahmad was walking in the hills of nearby Mount Hera. You can see it also pronounced Herat or Mount Hero. Different pronunciations here. This is not too far from where Mecca is. I don't feel like going back to where my camera is. I'm going to have to do that again in just a second. If I can remember, I'll point it out to you. But as he was walking here and walking in the hills, in the mountains there, in the month of Ramadan, Ramadan is the 9th month. More on that in just a little bit here. And as he was walking there, an angel, Archangel Gabriel, spoke to him. And this angel said, recite. Said, recite. And Ahmad said, I am not a reciter. And the angel's voice spoke to him again and said, recite. There is but one God, and that God is Allah. And with that, there's one God, and that one God is Allah. Now, in this area at that time, it was a polytheistic society, and there was a worship of many, many gods. And their idols to these gods had been housed in the Kaaba. I know it sounds like I'm making this up, but I'm telling you the truth with this too. And so Ahmad was now given the order from the angel there to serve as the prophet, to serve as the messenger, and spread the word that there is but one God, and that God is Allah. All right, so I'm going to go back to my camera here. And anyway, and from that point on, then Ahmad will be recognized as Muhammad. Muhammad is the messenger. Muhammad is not God. Muhammad is not Allah. Muhammad is the prophet. Muhammad is the messenger. So it became the duty now of Muhammad to spread the word throughout these Quraysh tribes that there is but one God, and it is Allah. Now, if we look at the word Allah, this is the way you'll traditionally see it spelled here, like this. But if we break it out a little bit, it's like Al-Allah, Al-Allah. All right? Or we put it together and just kind of synthesize it a little bit, and it becomes as Allah. All right, so what Muhammad did, and like I said, this is in the 9th month of Ramadan. And so what Muhammad did, he was making an attempt here to try to convince all these Quraysh leaders, these Quraysh tribes, that there was but one God, and it is Allah. So in the year 622, Muhammad organized and called for all these Quraysh leaders to all assemble at a neutral town which was 200 miles away from Mecca. This neutral town, which was called Yathrib. This is in the year 622. All right, let's see if I wrote this down. Today, if you visit that town, and you won't visit that town, if you do visit that area, the city name has been changed from Yathrib to Medina. The Medina. Medina means the city of the prophet. The city of the prophet. All right, now notice a word here, which is, I'm going to let you look at it, let you write this word down, which is H-I-J-R-A-H. It can be spelled in a couple of different ways. H-I-J-E-R-A. All right, let's pronounce it here, Hejra. Hejra. Work on your pronunciation, Hejra. All right, let me go back to my camera here of Saudi Arabia, the Mideast. Let me show you where where Yathrib is located, where Medina is located. It is here. Now here's Mecca. Here's Mecca, which is present here. Mount Hira is over in here. And then 200 miles away, there's an oasis town here, which is known as Medina. Today, it was called Yathrib at that time. All right, I gave you a word a few minutes ago, which is called Hezra. Now, the pilgrimage that these courageous leaders took to go from various areas up here, that is what is referred to as the Hezra. That is the migration. That is the trek that they took. And when Muhammad went there with his supporters, they were actually ambushed, and they just almost were killed with that. But he was able to get to Medina and convince those Yathrib and convince those courageous tribal leaders that there is but one God, and it is Allah. It's a big, big transition that's taking place here in the area of Mecca. And subsequently, we're going to have all of these polytheistic idols to be destroyed, and there will be one idol that remains, and that is the black stone. All right, back we go to our camera here, and I want to give to you, I write these out for my students on the board and have them to copy them, and I want you to get comfortable with this, and it's called the 5 Basic Tenets of Islam. 5 basic tenets, and you need to write these down here, folks. And I'm certainly not trying to make anybody a Muslim or convert to the Islamic faith, but just like we did with Christianity and the Hebrew faith, I want to do the same thing with this group too. All right, now the first of the basic tenets, there's but one God, and it is Allah. And as we move into the second of the tenets, Muhammad is the last of the great prophets. Now, in Islam, they recognize Jesus as being a prophet. Jesus is a prophet in Islam. So Muhammad is the last of the great prophets. If we go into the third part here, now the Quran is the Muslim sacred book. The Quran is just like the Christian Bible. It's just like the Torah in the Hebrew faith. All right, so the third tenet, the Quran, is the last of the sacred books. And if we move into our fourth one here, life on earth is only preparatory for eternal life. And finally, the fifth tenet here is the final judgment. Those that have been faithful in their ministry, those that have been faithful in their attendance to mosque, you'll be rewarded with a lifetime, an afterlife, if you will, full of a paradise of delights. Those that have been unfaithful and turned away from Allah, your intestines will be torn to shreds. All right, you infidels. Okay, so let's move on with this. Now, in addition to the 5 basic tenets of Islam, we also have the 5 pillars of Islam. And I need you to know these. You need to write these down for you. It's going to seem a little bit redundant here, but it kind of ties everything together here. All right, now, the first of these is the profession of faith. I did not write down the name of this. It's called the Shahada. And you are required to repeat this, the profession of faith. There is but one God, and it is Allah. Muhammad is the messenger. There we go. Muhammad is the messenger. And that is the first of the pillars of Islam. The second one of these, prayer, 5 times a day. And I want to spend a few minutes about this. Prayer, 5 times a day. Prayers are called from a muezzin, by a muezzin, and a muezzin which is present on a minaret. Now, let me show you something here. Here is this is a mosque, and on top of the mosque, there's these little rocket ship-looking structures here, which are called minarets. And a muezzin, who is a prayer caller, will be up here. I'm trying to watch myself in the video camera here, so I see where I'm pointing here, and I can't do very well. It's right in this area right here. And it's done with a loudspeaker. If you visit Islamic countries, you'll get very accustomed to this, of having a prayer call 5 times a day by the muezzin, and people will stop in their tracks with what they're doing, and they will all go into prayer. And I'm not kidding, and it's done very, very agilely, very what am I trying to say? Very fluidly, if you will, too. Now, prayer 5 times a day, always facing Mecca. You always have to face Mecca. If you were in my classroom, I would point out the direction of Mecca to you. And being in Walker Hall here, if some of you know where Walker Hall is, it would be looking to the north and to the east here. All right, when you go into a mosque itself, you'll always find a qibla. And the qibla, which will give you the direction, it will actually point directly towards where Mecca is. And that is a way that you always face when you're giving your prayers here, 5 times a day. Now, for you to participate in the prayer, you always have to undergo an ablution. An ablution means that you cleanse the body. You wash your hands, you wash your face, you wash your feet, wash the genitals with soap and water. And if soap and water is not present, then you use sand. You'll have to use your own imagination with that too. Now, I want to go back to my camera here. There is a video I provided for you folks so that you can see how prayer is done. And if you were in class, I can't see that at all. So if you were in class, I would kind of demonstrate this a little bit. I have to be careful. A lot of people get so very offended, when you speak about Islam here. And so I try to show them a little bit how the prayer motions here, and unfortunately, I cannot do it here, But you can see up at the top here, you take a prayer position here. Hands go behind the ears, and you say, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. God is good, God is great. And then hands are crossed across the chest, and you'll finally go into this position here. If I'm not supposed to use my finger here, and then finally down to this position. Well, you can use it. Where am I? Over here on this side. All right, and it's done, like I said, in a very, very fluid motion with that. Okay, so let's continue on with this. And that was the second one of the pillars of faith. And the third pillar, give alms. This means you give a contribution to the church here. You're going to donate alms. In the Christian faith, it is 10%. You donate 10% of your earnings. In Islam, in the Muslim faith, you donate 2.5% of your possessions. This is for the middle class and the upper class. There is a difference between your earnings and your actual possessions here. This is giving alms. And if we move on with this, this is a very important part in the pillars of Islam. Fasting is done in the month of Ramadan, in the 9th month, in the month of Ramadan. This means that during the day that you have no eating, no drinking, there's no sexual intercourse here during the day itself. All right, that is fasting. And the 5th one of these is the Hajj. Once in a lifetime, the Hajj. Now notice the play on the words where we had Hijra, and now we have the Hajj. Once in a lifetime, you must, if you're a Muslim, you're required that you must make the trek. You must go to Mecca. And when you go to Mecca, you get in the long processional of probably 200, 500,000 people, and you circle the Kaaba. You circle the Kaaba. Once in a lifetime, gradually making your way forward until you actually kiss the black stone. You kiss the black stone. Do not touch the black stone. You have the guards that are there adjacent to the black stone that will be very physical with you if you attempt to touch that. I'm going to go back to the photograph I showed you a little bit earlier, and you can see the guards that are present here that are guarding where the black stone is present. You can see all the people that are here. You'll see this on your video that I provided for you. The people just swirling around here, gradually making their way forward. It is not uncommon, and we had this not too long ago, where it's like a stampede will take place, and it may have as many as 100 people that are actually killed in the foray that takes place for that. All right, now if we look at, and by the way, I want to show you a couple of words here, and let me go to this, and I'm going to have to backtrack on something too. Now, when the first Hijra took place, and this was in the year 622 in the first Hijra, that becomes 622 is year number 1 in the Islamic calendar. It's year number 1. That is known as Anno Hejra. Anno Hejra. In the year of the migration, in the year of the pilgrimage, Anno Hejra. It is abbreviated AH. So if we look at our year here, 2020, and that's what you recognize this now as year 2020 here, which hasn't been a very good year thus far. Maybe we'll get some improvement later on anyway. But in the Islamic calendar, this is now currently 1441 AH. It's 1441 AH. The Muslim calendar does not have 365 days in the calendar, so it differs from ours. Now, I looked this up for you earlier because it changes every year. You'll never find that the Hajj will be in the same year. So the year of the migration, where we had all of those hundreds of thousands of people that went to Mecca to kiss the black stone, this year it was from 28 July to the 2nd of August. So today's date, as I'm giving this lecture right now, is the 18th of August, so it was about 2 weeks ago. By the time you get to this lecture, folks, it'll be the middle of October. So anyway, today, Ramadan in the year 2020, the 9th month in the Islamic calendar, Ramadan. We had it earlier. It was during the dates of the 23rd April to 23 May. So it lasts for 30 days for that. All right, so that just, and there's no reason for you to know that, but like I said, it changes every day. All right, so that's for your benefit. Now, Islam translates to mean submission. Submission to Allah. Complete submission to Allah. And that's what Islam translates to mean. I wrote this out for you once again. Islamic scriptures are recorded in the Quran. Here's a different spelling to it there. Quran, Quran. Much of it is taken from the Old Testament, by the way. Okay. In Islam, in the Muslim faith, there are no sacraments. There's no priest. In fact, what you use there, I don't know if I wrote it down for you. I did not. But you use religious scholars. And these scholars are known as mullahs, M-U-L-L-A-H, mullahs, or you can have imams, mullahs and imams. And that's a little bit different in understanding. It's a little bit confusing trying to understand the difference between mullahs, imams, clerics, and so forth. All right, so I'm going to go back here. Now, notice in Islam, one of their tenets is that of last judgment. We have a second tenet here, which is the resurrection. The resurrection. Now, both of those are taken from Christianity, by the way. So it does have similarities to Christianity. In Islamic faith, they do believe in miracles. They do believe in miracles, just like Christians believe in miracles, or some Christians believe in miracles. Worship takes place in a mosque, and I'm searching around here to see if I have a mosque, and I do not have one that I can share with you right now. But I want to show you what the interior of a mosque appears at. And that's the inside. For you to go in, you have to remove your shoes. Shoes are placed like in a little cabinet, and so you'll be in your stocking feet, so to speak, here. Let's see if I can get a little bit of a contrast to that, and I don't know if that improved it or not. I'm working backwards here, so I'll try to show this best way I can. Now, for males will be in this area. You cannot see the area where females are. Females are not present with males. Females are behind the males. For females to go in, you have to have your head covered, and so you'll wear some kind of shawl that will cover over your head and cover over your shoulders there. So females are behind the men here. Shoes are removed. Now, the direction of Mecca is in this direction here. What you have to do is look for the Qibla, and this shows you right here that this is the way that you will face. This is the way you'll do your prayers, where you will kneel in prayer. For the males will be here, females will be behind. Now the church elder, the mullah will be on the stairs. Now, if you look at this area, oops, I went in the wrong direction here. This area here, this is where heaven is. This is where Allah is present. So when the imam delivers the message, he is present about halfway up the stairs, up in this area right here. Now, in your Christian church, if you attend church, your minister faces the audience. Your minister is in the pulpit and usually standing behind the altar and will face the congregation. But in a Muslim mosque, it is not done that way. For the Imam faces up the steps. The Imam faces toward heaven, facing towards heaven and away from the people. So the message is delivered in the opposite fashion there. And it's kind of interesting with that too. Here, I don't know if you ever get a chance to experience that or not, but that'll be up to you. Okay, now I want to address this topic here. When Muhammad died in the year 632, I believe it was, the religion almost died away. But he'll be followed by his father-in-law, who's known as Abu Bakr. Now, Abu Bakr will take the title Caliph. Some people pronounce it Caliph. Caliph. It translates to mean deputy of the prophet. Some of you may be familiar with this bad guy, which supposedly the United States sent a drone in and killed this person, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who was a leader of Al-Qaeda. And this was done so in the past year, anyway. All right, so Abu Bakr. All right, now, in the year 644, a sharp division took place within the Islamic faith. Now, I want to share this with you. I had it out a few minutes ago. But all of these individuals here, down at the bottom here, Abu Bakr, who's the deputy of the prophet, and he would be followed by Umar, I don't care that you know that, who would be followed by Uthman, who would be followed by Ali. Ali was the son-in-law to Muhammad. He is not a blood relative to Muhammad. And in fact, none of these are blood relatives to Muhammad. Muhammad had 6 children, 4 daughters, and 2 sons. The 2 sons died at birth. So there's no male heir, to follow Muhammad. Okay, now, here's where the division is going to take place here. All right, now, some Muslims believed in the year 644 that the first true caliph was that of Ali. And many Muslims believe that the traditional lineage of the caliphs of Abu Bakr to Umar to Uthman to Ali was a traditional fashion. So what you're going to see here now is we see a division. Those that believe that that Ali was the first true caliph, this group is referred to by this title right here. Watch your spelling as you write that too. Now, the word is pronounced, and listen to my pronunciation here, Shiites. It is easier, and I'll shift over into this more often than not, a Shia. All right, then we had the other group, which believed in the traditional path. This is the one I'm talking about here with Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali. These are known as Sunnah, or Sunnites. Now, there's great rivalry between these two groups here. Now, this group is much more militant. It's much more belligerent than this group. This group is rather a passive group here. Now, this group is where most of the problems in the Muslim societies with militancy and terrorism, it is coming from this group here. Only 10% of the Muslims are Shia. This means that 90% are rather peaceful Sunnah. And I would ask you in class here, where do you think the predominance, the most of the Shia are present? And where do you think? And you're going to find them mostly in Iran. In Iran, somewhat in Iraq. But in Iraq, the majority of the Muslims present there are Sunnah. So anyway, and that's a big difference with that too. All right, now let's see how am I doing on my time. I may wait a few minutes before I go into that. I want to share some likenesses with you folks here because I want to get this out of the way here. When you visit an Islamic country, for the women, I guess I'll have to hold this up like this. The women will be wearing these hijab. That's what this is known as here. For women, short pants are never allowed. Short pants are never allowed in the Islamic society here. Now, this is what you would see, this pose here, like in Egypt. Egypt, which is not terribly strong with their Islamic influence there. Now, you'll find in other Islamic countries, they wear a burqa. Now, only the eyes are revealed here. I was told anyway that the more clothing that you wear for females, the closer you are to God. The less exposure of the skin, the closer you are to God. Here's what is called a niqab. All right. When you go to Islamic countries, you'll find it's very, very common. It's just the way the women are. Here's another niqab there. I'm just throwing up a number of photographs that I cut out of books here. Burqa is there. Burqa here. All right, here in some of the Islamic countries you have a chadar. So with the chadar, the face is exposed here. The body is covered here, but the face is closed. Chadar. Here's a photograph showing you some women that are wearing the chadar there. All right, so anyway, that's just for your entertainment with that. Kind of entertaining, kind of interesting though. Okay, let me move back to where we are here, and I think I'm going to, no, I think I'll go into this next. I'm running out of time. I'm trying to juggle around what would be more important for us. Okay, there are two paths of religious devotion. One path is called the ulema, or ulam, it's spelled this way. This is where we have the religious figures themselves, the mullahs, the imams, religious figures that are educated individuals. You also have one, which another path of religious devotion, which is called Sufis. The Sufis, these are religious mystics. They're somewhat like monks, quiet, meditative, but they are not sexually celibate. But Sufis. Let's see if I wrote this down for you, and I did not here. There's one group of Sufis which are called the fakers. The fakers, which are actually snake charmers, and I've never seen this in person, but in places like India and Pakistan, you can find these snake charmers that will have cobras present in a wicker basket or something, and then actually will charm those snakes, which snakes have no hearing structures whatsoever, so they do not hear the music whatsoever. Okay, I think that's a pretty good point for us to stop. I'm not through with this completely. I've got to show you some things on Muslim architecture. And we'll do that the next time that we get together. I want to talk to you a little bit about Sharia law, and it's something you probably have heard about before, but you're not very familiar with it, and it's causing major, major problems in the United States today as a result of Sharia law. But I'll share that with you and let you draw some of your own conclusions next time we get together. A lot of material here, class. You need to stay up with this. You know, we've got an examinations on the horizon here, so work on your videos, stay with your narrative notes, your textbook, and learn this material here, okay? All right, thank you very much for your attendance.